Here are the video solutions for Pearson Edexcel Functional Skills Maths Level 2. This is section A, which is the non-calculator paper from set 7. So let's scroll down and take a look at question number 1. Find the mode of this data. So mode is the most common or the most frequently occurring. So how many times does 146 appear? It appears just the twice. 97 appears 1, 2, 3 times. 109 just appears once, 141 appears once, 103 appears once, and 94 appears twice. So therefore the mode is 97 because it appears more times than any other. Okay, part B, so just a simple bit of subtraction. So 17.456. The key thing is to make sure, because these numbers are of different lengths, get the decimal points in line and then everything else will fit in line as well. So therefore that will put the 6 under the 7 and the 0 under the 4, the 7 under the 5 and the 2 under the 6. Okay, do not put the 6 under the 1. Let's put a decimal point in common in our answer box. 6 take 2 is 4. 5 take 7 can't be done, so 4 becomes 3, 5 becomes 15. 15 take 7 is 8. 3 take 0 is 3. 7 take 6 is 1. And 1 take nothing is 1. So there's our answer, 11.384. Question number 3, 2 and 5/6 plus 9 and 1/3. So first of all, 2 plus 9 is 11. So that's 11 and 5/6 plus 1/3, which is 11 plus 5/6 plus 1/3. Now 5/6 and we've got 6 and thirds. Now I can convert thirds into 6. 1 out of 3 is the same as 2 out of 6. So that is 11 plus 5/6 plus 2/6, which is 7/6. Now this fraction here is an improper fraction. The number is top heavy, the number on the top is bigger than the number on the bottom, so that can be written as 1 and 1/6. How many times does 6 go into 7? It goes once with a remainder of 1. And 11 plus 1 and 1/6 becomes 12 and 1/6. So that is our final answer, 12 and 1/6. Okay, so for this question, what I would do first of all is the average speed of the club is 15 miles per hour. So what is 15 miles per hour in kilometers per hour? Now 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers, so therefore 15 miles is going to be 15 multiplied by 1.6. So let's just do 15 multiplied by 16. Let's forget it's 1.6. 6 5s are 30, 0 carry 3, 6 1s are 6, plus the 3 is 9. This is the 1 of 10, so don't forget to put in a 0. 1 5 is 5, 1 1 is 1, add them together, 0, 14, carry 1, 240. So 15 times by 16 is 240, so therefore 15 multiplied by 1.6 is going to be the same answer but with 1 decimal place, same as in the question, so that becomes 24.0. So 15 miles an hour is 24 kilometers per hour. So if I change this to 24 kilometers per hour, suddenly the question is much easier. So Lara does 60 kilometers in 3 hours. Now speed is the distance divided by time. So we've got the distance, which is 60, divided by 3. So her speed is 20 kilometers per hour. Lara thinks that her average speed is lower. That's Lara's speed, and this is the average speed of the club rides. So Lara thinks that her average speed, which is 20, is lower than the average speed of club rides, which is 24. Yeah, Lara is correct. Show a check of your answer. Well, we've got quite a lot of calculations, but the final thing we did was 60 divided by 3 to get 20. So we can just do, if we move that divide over to the other side, it would be times, and 20 times 3 equals 60. So yeah, we know we've got it right. So 20 times 3 equals 60. I'm never really convinced I understand the purpose of these questions, given that there's so many different ways you could have got that answer in the first place and so many calculations that need to be checked potentially. Question number 4, what we need to do here is work out the area of this triangle. Now the formula for the area of a triangle is base times by the height divided by 2. So that's 27 times 24 divided by 2. Now instead of working out 27 times 24, given that 20 and then dividing by 2, why not let's just divide the 24 by 2, so this is just now 27 times by 12. Much easier. Let's keep the numbers as low as possible. So 27 times by 12, 2 7s are 14, carry 1, 2 2s are 4 plus 1 is 5. This is the 1 of 10, so put in a 0, 1 7 is 7, 1 2 is 2, add them together, 4, 12, carry 1, 3. Okay, so 324 square meters is the area, and we need to multiply this by 0.3 to get the volume. Now 324 times by 3 is 12, carry 1, 2 3s are 6 plus 1 is 7, 3 3s are 9. So 324 times 3 is 972, so therefore 324 times by 0.3, we need to create one decimal place, is 97.2, and that is cubic meters of concrete. Now how many trucks is that going to be? Well, how many 6s go into 97.2? In other words, what is 97.2 divided by 6? Okay, dividing a decimal is quite easy, just put a decimal point above on top of the bus stop. 9 divided by 6 is 1 with a remainder of 3. 37 divided by 6 is 6 with a remainder of 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So we need 16.2 trucks. So 16.2 is closer to 16 than 17, but what do I need to put down here? 16 trucks or 17 trucks? Or 16 trucks is not going to be enough. Even though this number is close to 16, we will need 17 trucks, which means that that final truck will not be carrying the maximum possible load, but that's well, we can't overload a truck, so that's why it has to be 17 and not 16. And that takes us to the end of section A. Here are the video solutions for Pearson Edexcel Functional Skills Maths Level 2. This is section B, which is the calculator paper, and this is from set 7. So let's take a look at question number 1, where we're simply inputting values into a formula. So we know that K is 3 times by U plus 7.15, so that's 2.9 plus 7.15, and that is going to be divided by V, which is 6. Okay, so thinking of bid mass, we need to take care of the brackets first, and 2.9 plus 7.15 is 10.05. So K is 3 lots of 10.05 over 6. So that effectively means it means exactly 3 times 10.05 over 6. We need to, let's take care of the top first. 3 times by 10.05 is 30.15 over 6, and that means divided by 6, and 30.15 divided by 6 is 5.025. Question number 2. Okay, so this is for Erica here. The range has got nothing to do with the average, so we can just ignore that. So let's work out the mean and the median for Shona. So let's write down here Shona. So the mean is going to be all of those figures, all of these added together, divided by 7. Now if we add all of these together, we get 94.5, and divided by the 7 competitions comes to 13.5. And for the median, what we need to do is put these in order and then pick the one in the middle. So which one is the quickest? We've got 12.9, 13.0, 13.1, 13.2, 13.9, 14.1, 14.3. So to find the middle one, cross off each end, cross off the new ends, and again, and we've got, that's the median there. Okay, so let's have a look at, so Shona, Erica, mean, median. We don't have to write a table, but I just want to make it really clear. For Shona, the mean is 13.5 and the median is 13.2, and Erica, the mean was 13.4 and median 13.3. Okay, so if we're using the mean, we can see that Erica is faster, but if we're going off the median, we can see that Shona is faster. So both are correct. It depends on which average you want to use. If you're using the mean, then Erica's the quickest swimmer. If we're going off the median, Shona is the quickest swimmer. Was it swimming? Oh, gymnast. There we go. Right. Okay, question number 3. Okay, so what we need to do is at the end of week 1 work out how many clicks Archie had. So if it's 85 pence per click and you get 650.25, or he pays 650.25 in total, then how many 85p's go into this number? In other words, what's 650.25 divided by 0.85? And that means there were 765 clicks. Okay, so it might be worth, it can be a little bit confusing. So by the end of week 1, so this is week 1 here, he's had 765 clicks. So what about after the end of week 2? And then what about at the end of week 3? So if it's 20% more, we want to increase 765 by 20%. We need to multiply by 1.2. Now you might be wondering, where does the 1.2 come from? The multiplier for 20% is 0.20, or in other words just 0.2. So this is the multiplier we use if we're calculating 20% of an amount. It's this figure here divided by 100. It's the decimal equivalent. Now if you want to increase by 20%, we just simply add 1 to this figure, so that's 1.2. That's where the 1.2 is coming from. So 765 multiplied by 1.2 takes us to 918. So at the end, during week 2, he would have had 918 clicks. And if we're just multiplying by 1.2 again, we get to the end of week 3, which is 1101.6. So what was the question? Archie thinks that in week 3 more than 1,000 people will click on the advert. Yes, he's correct. And we can just confirm 1101.6. Okay, question number 4. Describe the relationship between the age of patients and the waiting time. Okay. Right, for me the data is kind of scattered all over the place really. It's all a question of whether or not you can draw a line of best fit. Now a line of best fit cuts through the middle of the data, generally keeping a similar number of data points above and below the line, and trying to keep, or hopefully none of the data points aren't too far away from the line. So I could draw a line, it should be a straight line like so. That's a terrible line of best fit. So you can see that there's negative correlation. I'd say it's very weak. Now the reason why it's weak correlation is because we've got a lot of x's, or a lot of data points that are really quite a long way from the line. In fact, you may go as far as saying that there is no correlation at all. So we could say that there is weak negative correlation. You could also, the mark scheme will allow you to say that there is no correlation. That's totally fine. If you think there is weak negative correlation, you could also make the comment that as the patients increase in age, the waiting time is shorter. As one value goes up, the other value goes down. We can see that because the line goes down, that confirms that as this value increases, the waiting time, or this value, will go down. But that's only if you agree that there is weak negative correlation. If you like I said, you could say there is no correlation at all. There is no pattern between the age of patients and their waiting time. Work out the fraction of patients aged over 50 who had a waiting time greater than 30 days. So how many aged over 50? So this is the aged 50 line here. So how many are over 50? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So out of the 9, how many had to wait over 30 days? So the ones who had to wait over 30 days will be above this line here, the 30 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the answer is 6 over 9, but this fraction can be simplified. Both of these numbers are in the 3 times table. So divide top by 3, we get 2, bottom by 3 as well, we get 3. So 2/3 is the answer. Okay, question number 5. So what we need to think of is it's 16% off the normal price. So if you're buying something and it's 16% off, then that means you pay the full amount minus 16%. So it's 84%. So what we need to do is work out, well, what 84% of £65. Now 84% is, what is the percentage multiplier for 84%? The answer is 0.84. So we need to multiply £65 by 0.84. This is the decimal equivalent of the percentage figure. It's 84 divided by 100. And 0.84 times by £65 is £54.60. Okay, so she wants to buy 120 chocolate eggs. So a box has 30. So how many 30s go into 120? Well, 120 divided by 30 is 4. So that's 4 boxes. So the final calculation is 4 multiplied by £54.60. That's definitely going to be more than £200. That comes to £218.40p. So she thinks she can buy 120 chocolate eggs for less than £200 with this offer. She is wrong. Use a reverse calculation to show a check of your answer. I think these questions are ridiculous personally, but anyway, they are what they are. The last calculation we did was, what was the last calculation we did? It was 4 times 54.60. So if we did 4 times by £54.60 equals £218.40, then what we could do is 218.40 divided by 4 to check that we get £54.60. I don't know why you do division to check a multiplication question, given that most people find division much more complicated than multiplication. Seems like the wrong way around to do it. Or we could do £218.40 divided by £54.60 just to check that we get 4, and of course, since these calculations are correct, then this calculation is correct as well. Okay, question 6, we want to do a front, draw the front elevation. So the front elevation is going to be this rectangle here, but also we are going to see this part here, which is another rectangle. So we just need to think about the measurements here. So this is 9 meters, this is 5.5 meters, and the height here is 2.5. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these into centimeters. So if I just do a rough shape again, so this, multiplying them all by 100, this is 900, this will be 55. No, it won't be 550, what we're talking about, and 2.5 times 100 is 250. We also need to think about the width across here, of course, so that is 3, so that will be 300. Now the scale is 1 to 100, so that means 1 square on the scale, or 1 centimetre on the scale, represents 100 in real life, so the drawing is 100 times smaller. So I want to divide these by 100, and if I divide them all by 100, guess what? It turns back into 3, 2.5, 5.5 and 9, except this will now be centimetres. So let's do the top bit. So this is 3 by 2.5, so we'll go 3 across, using a ruler would be better, 2.5, okay, and we'll just draw a line across there. Again, straight lines are really important. Now we want a further 5.5 going down, so there's my 0.5, so now I need another 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like so, and we want 9 across, so I've already done 3 across, so another 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's right, perfect, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5, and there we have it. Okay, there is the front elevation. Okay, question number 7, the key thing is to remember that the probabilities always add up to 1. So if the only option is wearing a skirt or a dress, and 0.45 wear a skirt, then 1 minus 0.45 is 0.55 for a dress. And if the people wearing a skirt is either long or short, again, these probabilities need to add up to 1, and 1 take away 0.3 is 0.7. So what's the probability of choosing a long skirt? Well, that is the probability of choosing a skirt, which is 0.5 multiplied. You always multiply the probabilities as you go along the branches, times by 0.3, and that is 0.135. Okay, question 8. So what we need to do here is work out the estimated mean number of tests for April. Now the reason why it's going to be an estimated mean is because we know that on 8 days the number of tests conducted was between 1 and 10. Now we don't know what happened on these 8 days. They might all have been 10, they might all have been 1. So what we're going to do is we are going to make an assumption that all 8 of them were the midpoint of 1 to 10. Now you'd be mistaken for thinking that the midpoint of 1 to 10 is 5. The midpoint of 0 to 10 is 5. The midpoint of 1 to 10 is 5.5. So to work out the midpoint, what you could do is add up these two values together, so 10 plus 1, and divide that by 2. 10 plus 1 is 11, and 11 over 2 is 5.5. So what we are assuming that 5.5 tests were conducted on these 8 days, so therefore over those 8 days, what is the estimated total? And remember, it's an estimated total, not an actual total, because we're assuming that all 8 tests, all 8 days was 5.5 tests. So for the estimated total was 8, lots of 5.5, which is 44. So when you see these types of questions, a lot of people automatically put in a midpoint, and this column here is frequency times by midpoint. Some people don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. I guess it doesn't really matter, but it does help if you've got a bit of intuition. Right, halfway between 11 to 20 is 15.5, 25.5 and 35.5. So 14 times 15.5 is 217, 5 times 25.5 is 127.5, and 3 times 35.5 is 106.5. So the mean is going to be the total divided by, in this case, the number of days, which is 30. So the grand total is the addition of these 4 numbers here. Again, a lot of people just know to add up the F times by midpoint column and divide by the total of the F column. Again, without understanding why. It helps if you do understand why, but not a deal breaker. So what is 495 divided by 30? That is 16.5. So that is the mean number of tests per day. Okay, so in May it's going to be 12.5% greater. Now what is the multiplier for 12.5%? It's 0.125. It's the decimal equivalent of 12.5%. It's this figure here divided by 100. But if you want to increase by 12.5%, add 1 to this number here, so 1.125. So it's going to be 16.5 multiplied by 1.125, and that comes to 18.5625 tests per day. So if it's open for 31 days in May, it's going to be 18.5625 times by the 31 days and times by £130 per test. And what does that give me? That gives me a grand total of 74806.875. I can't give a price with 3 decimal places, so I'll round it to the nearest penny. So since this is a 5, that 7 will become an 8. So let me just write that here. So 74806.88. Let's just write that in the answer box. Oh, lost it, never mind. Okay, 74806.88. There we go, done. Okay, question number 9. So we know that it takes 23 workers 4 hours. So how long is it going to take for 3 hours? Now if it was 8 hours, that would be twice as long. So it would take, we need to be careful here. Let me just write this down, by the way. So if it was 8 hours, that's twice the time, so you'd be inclined to double the number of workers. But if it takes twice as long, you'd need half as many workers. Okay, now how do we get, I don't know why I picked 8, by the way. Maybe I should have picked 2. So if it was 2 hours, that is half the time, but it's not half the workers, it would be double the workers to speed it up. Now it would be easy to go from 4 hours to 8 hours, or to go from 4 hours to 2 hours, but how do we go from 4 hours to 3 hours? Let me just write this out again a little bit more clearly again. So 23 workers takes 4 hours. How do we get from a 4 hours to a 3 hours? So what I would do is work out well, how many workers would it be for 1 hour? So that is, the time is being reduced, it's a quarter of the time, so we're going to need 4 times as many workers. And 23 multiplied by 4 is, grab your calculator, that's 92. So we need 92 workers for 1 hour. So therefore, if 92 workers gets the work done in 1 hour, and we want to get the job done in 3 hours, so that is triple the time, so we need 3 times fewer workers, and 92 divided by 3 is 30.6 workers. Now, do we round 30 or 31? 30.6 is close to 31, but we need to think logically. If we have 30 workers, then that will decrease the amount of time, so that will be greater than 3 hours. Sorry, it will increase the amount of time rather. Fewer workers means more time. More workers means less time. It can be quite confusing, this indirect proportion here. So here we need to round it up to 31 workers, and it might mean the job gets done slightly under 3 hours, but better for it to be under the 3 hours than over the 3 hours. So there's our answer, 31 workers. Okay, question number 10. Plot and label the point C at -3, 6. So we go across first, -1, -2, -3, and up to 6. So that is point C. And for the next part, we're making a trapezium, and it needs to have 2 right angles, and this is the base. So if it's got 2 right angles, then for this to be a right angle, then point D needs to be in line with B and also in line with C. There we go. Again, it'd be better if I used a ruler. So there's one right angle there, there's another right angle there, and this is a trapezium because it's got 1 pair of parallel sides. And there we go. So I've plotted and I've labelled point D. I didn't need to actually draw the trapezium, but there we go. Okay, so for this question, what we need to do first of all is work out the perimeter. So what we've got is 63 feet on this side and this side, so that is 63 feet times by 2. Now I'm going to make a little shortcut here. Now if this is 93.5 feet, we know it's a rectangular lawn, and if I just relocate this 50 feet to here and join it up, this plus 50 plus 23.5 is going to be a 93.5 feet. So we're going to add on a 93.5 feet times by 2, and also 41.5 times 2 as well. So 63 times by 2 is 126, 93.5 times by 2 is 187, and 41.5 times 2 is 83. So the total distance in feet is these 3 figures added together. That comes to 396 feet. Now we know that, let me just write this over here, so 1 metre equals 3.3 feet, and we've got 396 feet. So how many times greater is 396 than 3.3? Well, the question is, what is 396 divided by 3.3? And that is 120. So we've got 120 metres in total. Now the edging is in 5 metre lengths, so I just need to divide 120 by 5, which is 24. So we need 24 lengths of edging, and it is £38.99 each. So that's 24 lots of £38.99, and that comes to a total of £935.76. What was the question? Vicky has £1,000. Does Vicky have enough money to buy all the edging she needs? Yes, as the 935.76 is less than £1,000. Okay, now on to the question 12. So we need to remember that when we're writing, well, let me just write a really big number. If I'm group them into groups of 3 from the right, and after each 3 put a comma, 1, 2, 3, comma. Now this first comma here represents the word 1,000, and this second comma represents millions. So this number is 123,456,789. So as long as you can read a 3-digit number, then you can read and write any numbers at all. So remember, the word million is a comma, thousand is a comma. So I've got 7 million, so 7, comma. 430,000, so 1,000 is a comma, so just write 430, and after the word 1,000 write 900. So there we go, 7,430,900. You can take the commas out if you don't like them, not a problem. Okay, so on to part B. So what we need to do is work out how many singers there were last year. So the ratio of singers to dancers was 3 to 5. So that means 3/8 were singers, 5/8 were dancers. Why is it eighths? Because 3 plus 5 is 8. So we need to work out 3/8 of 17,424. When you're working out a fraction of a total, take your total, divide it by the number on the bottom, and then multiply by the number on the top. And that comes to 6,534. So that's, I'll just put last for last year. Now this year we need to work out 39% of 19,500. So what is the multiplier for 39%? It is 0.39, the decimal equivalent of 39%. It's 39 divided by 100, so we need to multiply 19,500 by that number. And 0.39 multiplied by 19,500 is 7,605, and that is this year. Dorothy thinks that at least 1,200 more singers applied this year. Well, let's test that out. What is 6,534 plus 1,200? That comes to 7,734, which is less than 7,605. So what's she called? Dorothy, was it? Yeah, no, Dorothy is wrong. And the reason she's wrong is because 7,605 is less than last year's with 1,200 added on. Okay, and that takes us to the end of this assessment.